an hour of truth for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we have Bob Savage with us.
Oh, it must be Monday.
It is Monday, and it looks like a really nice Monday out there right now.
It's going to be a really nice week.
Yeah, absolutely. How was your weekend, Bob?
It was very nice, thank you.
Awesome. You know what I saw over the weekend that we predicted, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago on the show, that New York State's infection rate would fall below 1%, and we're down to 0.96% for COVID-19 infections, which means of all the people who are getting tested, which I don't know, and Bob, maybe you know this, how many people are getting tested daily right now in New York?
Right off the top of my head, I don't know. I can get my crack researcher, also known as my cell phone, on that.
There you go. Yeah. I know it's in the tens of thousands. Of all the people that are getting tested daily in New York State for COVID-19, below 1% of them are testing positive. We talked about this a little bit last week, or maybe the week before, about how that was actually predicted to be the case, not only for the infection rate, but also the actual death rate was predicted that was going to be less than 1%. And that's starting to become true once you average out the numbers long term. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We won't know totally what the numbers end up being till years from now when they really analyze the data, collect it. And of course, there's going to be a bunch of wrong data. I saw numbers today that people are publishing about false positives on some of these COVID tests. And some of the COVID tests that were being conducted and used for publishing numbers had as high as a 50% false positive rate, which is just that's just flip a coin, and so now they're suggesting if you were tested, maybe you should get tested again just to be sure. I guess a few other brands of tests had the opposite problem where they were having false negatives, not at anywhere near a 50% rate. So they're saying for the same reason people should be getting tested again, because people took the test, were told they were negative, and they weren't actually negative. And a lot of people apparently were taking tests, they were told they were positive, and they were not positive at all. And I think they got that data from the antibody test. They realized when they tested people's blood, they're like, you don't have antibodies. You never had COVID-19. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I took the test. I quarantined. I did everything I was told to because I was told I had COVID-19. Never actually had it.
The best I can pull up so far is we got 391,220 tested positive as of June 26th. Number currently hospitalized, same date, 951. 244 of those are in ICU. And number tested as of June 26th is 3,681,317, with about half of those in New York City.
Wow. That is a lot of tests. And that's a lot of tests to say, for those who tested positive, maybe you were positive. Maybe not. Maybe we screwed up. So definitely an issue there. And I get it. They developed stuff. They put together quickly. They tried to sprint to market with it. They didn't do a lot of testing. I don't know why we're not doing antibody testing very prevalently. I think that should be the focus, because as obviously more accurate. That'll let people know not only if they have it currently, but well, they may not have the antibodies till it runs its course, I guess. But would at least let them know if they had it and give us some real numbers as to how many people truly had COVID-19. How many people are we just kind of saying maybe they had it because of some of the unreliability with testing? Um, but, elected officials, politicians, big government, they don't actually care about the right numbers as long as the numbers are saying the narrative that they want.
Right, exactly. As long as it advances the narrative. And of course, the upshot of all of this is that this disease is far less lethal than it was originally thought, because this drives down the death rate.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And here's the thing about it. I get there's a lot of people that don't like Dr. Fauci for a number of reasons, but he himself even wrote in, I think it was the British Medical Journal, back in March, that he didn't think that the death rate was going to be even at 1%. That would be less than that. So even I know there's some controversy around him, but even he was saying that. And here we are, and the numbers are starting to dip down. The death rate, I believe, um, has gone down now that they've done antibody testing in some states to 1.5%, if not less than that.
Oh no, it's less than one. It's way less than 1% now.
Oh, is it? So there
Yeah,
you go. I
it's
mean,
it's like 0.5%.
yeah, yeah. So there you go. I mean,
It's
we're in
basically,
this.
you know what it is, Andrew? It's basically like a flu.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and the demographic which is primarily affected is elderly people, people who have underlying health issues, respiratory problems, and so forth. Compromised immune function, and elderly folks.
yeah, yeah. Well, and here's the thing that I think is really important to note. Some other states, they're starting to get to their, if you want to call it their apex, their high point. New York had this explosion of infections. But once again, maybe based on testing numbers. Now Florida is actually at, or maybe even above, the infection numbers that New York State had. However, they only have a tenth of the deaths that we're having here or had here in New York at that same time. So that's something that I think is really important to point out, is that they have 10% of the deaths that we have, a tenth. Whereas, and I'm sure somebody's listening to the show and saying, well, doesn't New York State have more population? No, actually,
No.
Florida has 2 million more people than we do.
Yeah. The biggest states are Florida, Texas, and California now.
Yeah, yeah. And not only that, so they have potentially have hit a similar amount of infections as us, or at least daily infections with less deaths. And I believe, and this is totally me making this up, by the way, so somebody feel free to correct me, but I believe that Florida has a larger high risk population because Florida is like a destination state for retirees. So just I kind of feel like Florida would have more of a high risk population. So if that's the case, which I don't know if it's the case, this is me just kind of, talking out loud to myself about this. Um, I think by all the factors, Florida should have been way worse than New York.
Yeah, well, of course, Florida doesn't have New York City, and that's a major contributing factor. But the combination of New York City, where you have a large population of people who have compromised immune function, excuse me, people who are undocumented immigrants who have all kinds of untreated underlying health problems, and you have a large homeless population, and very densely packed population density. So you got all those factors going on, and then you also have Governor Headcase, who's ordering sick people released from hospital into nursing homes. Right there's conservatively 7,000 people dead.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually heard that on the news right before we went live on the show that Democrats and Republicans have come together demanding an investigation into the governor over that policy. And the Democrats and Republicans in New York State, well, unfortunately, the Republicans seem to agree with the Democrats on a lot of things that they shouldn't in New York State.
Yeah.
But very rarely do the Democrats kind of cross over the aisle with Republicans on something against their own team.
I was going to say, Andy's so good at making friends. And by the way, it needs to be said that Gavin Newsom out in California made pretty much identical order at the same time. But within a day, when it was obvious that that policy was going to fail and was going to cause deaths, he reversed it. The difference is, what we have is the pathology of Andrew Cuomo's personality, which is he's this big swaggering, chin in the air, Italian-American, and anybody who tells him what to do, his absolute irresistible instinct is to give him the finger and say, so that's kind of like what happened with the officer who knelt on George Floyd, thank you. George Floyd's neck in Minneapolis. People were standing around and they were saying, hey, get your knee off his neck. He's dying. The guy can't breathe. And so what that officer just wanted to do is just extend the middle finger. You should tell me what to do. Yeah, well, I'll just stay on him that much longer. Andrew Cuomo, same deal, because we saw that same reaction from him when the National Highway and Traffic Administration told him he had to take down his stupid I Heart New York tourism signs. No, I'll show you. I'll just leave them up. I don't care if it costs the state $14 million. I'll just leave them up. Here, up yours. That's Andy Cuomo. And so he was propelled to that same instinct when people told him that the nursing home order had to be reversed. No, you don't tell me to reverse my order. I'm a big shot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's just how Andrew Cuomo has ran the office, how he's ran the state. And if you don't like it, if you want to see it change, you got to get Andrew Cuomo out of office. That's the only way to do it. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back in a moment.
That's right. The bottom line here, don't elect idiots. We'll be back.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. We are the biggest towing company in New York State, but we do a lot more than just towing. We will tow just about anything, but we will also repair just about anything as well. We offer a courtesy shuttle and pickup. We offer a drop box service. We have all these amenities that we've put in place to make sure that every one of our customers can receive the best service possible. Please give us an opportunity to win your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Got Bob Savage here with us as well. And just before we went to break, man, Bob, you had mentioned the kneeling on George Floyd's neck and how that officer and Andrew Cuomo's mindset and hearing people say, no, stop, you're hurting somebody, and just that hard-headedness, no, I'm right mentality that Andrew Cuomo has. And now I just have stuck in my head this image of Andrew Cuomo just kneeling on the neck of people who are in nursing homes saying, no, my policies are fine. And that's just the image I have. And I think that's the image that we should all have when it comes to that executive order and that policy, that people were there saying, hey, this is not a good idea. This is bad. These are the most vulnerable population. This is what happened in Seattle. They were vulnerable. We need to protect these people. And Cuomo says, no, my policy's fine. And then we lost close to 7,000 people because of this terrible policy.
And probably more because the numbers are being cooked by the state, of course, to try to minimize it. The practice was adopted early on in this meltdown, where people who were in nursing homes who were sick with COVID sent to the hospital and who died in the hospital, which, if you think about it for a moment, has got to be the majority of those cases. Those people were not counted as nursing home deaths.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's totally right.
Yeah, so I've seen estimates as high as 15,000, 12 to 15,000. So it's certainly the 7,000, as horrific as that is. I mean, basically that's Andy Cuomo turning New York nursing homes into slaughterhouses of the elderly. That's bad enough, but if you extrapolate it out, it's probably much worse. But there's an even more troubling issue than that, if such a thing is possible, Andrew, and that is that Andy this is his style of governance. It's top down. I know best. Today, for no reason whatsoever that I can discern, he announced that, because across the country, because of all these COVID figures, the numbers are going up. No, the numbers are not going up, or they're going up in a way that does not reflect what the media wants you to believe it reflects. But because of that, we may not open the schools this fall. This is in the teeth of the numbers that have come out that's shown that New York's infection rate, you cited it earlier in the program, the lowest since early March.
Yeah, 0.96% is the rate that Cuomo was touting over the weekend, by the way. So if somebody's listening to the show and says, hey, it sounds like maybe you don't like that Cuomo guy, you'd be right. But I'm using his numbers. So it's not like I went to some alt-right wing website to get those numbers or something. Those are Andrew Cuomo's numbers himself.
Right. Yeah, why would we want to keep the kids out of school again this fall? What possible purpose? These kids need to be in school. The universities need to be in session. Colleges need to have kids on campus. The colleges cannot survive without resident students on campus. It's that case has definitively been made. So, but again, it's just this top-down governance, Soviet style, if you will. Where we're just gonna, we're gonna do it my way because I say so.
Yeah, and I can't really think of, I can only think of a handful of reasons as to why to keep the schools closed. First and foremost being, state ain't got no money. The money is basically all used up. It's all gone. I mean, we were running a deficit before this happened. I don't even know where our deficit is right now.
Oh, I've heard numbers as high as 20 billion.
Yeah. I mean, they probably can't afford to even open the doors and turn on the lights. So that's like one thought, is they're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do. I'm sure behind closed doors right now, there's a fight going on with the teachers union where the state's saying, "Hey, we have to move to online courses for the next decade just to cover the money and revenue lost from COVID." I don't know, but that to me is like a primary thing, of, hey, the state just doesn't have money. I don't know. And to that point, the new policy that Cuomo is putting together, in conjunction with Connecticut and New Jersey, for quarantining people from other states, which may or may not be the right thing to do. I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers from the states who are doing mandatory quarantines, except we know right now the numbers in Florida. And Florida was doing those quarantines with people coming from New York, and Florida still has the same numbers as New York. So I don't know if that policy is actually effective or not. I would certainly welcome somebody to comment or call in if they have numbers or something to suggest that the self-quarantine policies are actually working. But what the self-quarantine policies absolutely do, guaranteed 100%, is tell people, don't bring your money to my state. Don't spend your money here.
Right.
Which is what New York really needs right now. We could really use a couple people deciding to come visit, the Finger Lakes or the Adirondacks and buy a tank of gas or two while you're here, and frequent some of our diners while you're here. Get a little bit of takeout, shop in our grocery stores, our small mom and pop shops. We need that right now. And now we've got, let's see, I've got a list here of states as of last week that if you travel from these states, you're supposed to self-quarantine. Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Utah, and Texas. And I look at those and I go, okay, I don't know how many people from those states would be coming to New York anyways. But basically those people, if they were thinking about going to New York, they're not going. And I'll tell you why. Because in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was supposed to be going to Florida. And my trip got canceled because of the self-quarantine policy that Florida has.
Yeah, Bobby D here at the station, same deal. He's going to vacation down there. But there's one aspect of all of this that is definitely unacceptable, and that is the alliance or the agreement about quarantine among the states of New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, because that's unconstitutional. It violates Article 1, Section 10. No state shall enter any treaty, alliance, or confederation with another state. You can't do it. Huh. We're not supposed to have these little, intrastate alliances going on, because we did that. That happened 1861 to 1865, and I believe that history proves that didn't work out so well.
Yeah. Well, you know why I think we're seeing this? I think we're seeing this because this is what they've been doing all along. This is what Congress does. This is what, representatives from states do all along. They get in their little corners. They get, behind closed doors. They plot together. They work together. They come up with, this is the policy we're going to enforce. They do it. It's just now they're doing it openly. They're just showing people what they've been doing all along. And the thing is, they've been doing it for so long without getting in trouble, without, having issue. And the American people just let them keep taking a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. That now they're like, why do this behind closed doors? Let's just tell the world we're doing it. Nobody's going to do anything. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, no question about it. But it's not the first time this has happened. I mean, there was some alliance back, and basically the impetus for the whole thing seems to have been this overblown COVID crisis. There was like a interstate buying consortium where they bought PPE and hand sanitizer and God knows what else. It was all COVID related, and of course the need for a lot of it was proven to be overblown.
Yeah. Well, we saw that with everything. I mean, we saw that with ventilators. I mean, and we bought ventilators at what, like 600% the normal cost?
Yeah.
And now we just have a bunch of ventilators sitting around.
Yeah, they're warehoused. We sent them to other states. We sent them to other countries.
Yeah.
And this was all amidst Governor Headcase complaining that Donald Trump was at fault and that he wasn't coming up with the ventilators that the state needed.
Yeah, no, it's it's terrible. And we spent all that New York money. That was all our tax dollars that we don't have. Those billions and billions of dollars that we don't have. We bought stuff at 600% more than we normally would, and then we just had to ship them elsewhere. You know, it's just terrible. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what other states have met the quarantine numbers, and then we've got some other fun stuff to talk about. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Stop into Springwater Amish Workshop to enhance your outdoor spaces. We have Amish-built yard furniture, decorative yard art and novelty pieces, lighthouses, windmills, and wishing wells. Our picnic tables, benches, garden benches, rocking chairs, swings, and gliders can be made out of poly in your choice of colors or double kiln-dried, organically treated southern yellow pine. Summer will be here soon, so don't delay. We're reopening for business, and we're following COVID-19 CDC and DOH guidelines. Did you buy baby chicks? We have 2 chicken coops in stock ready for delivery. Check the new inventory of 2020 storage sheds and gazebos arriving weekly, or we can order just what you want. Check our website, springwateramishworkshop.com, or like us on Facebook for a look at what we can do. Springwater Amish Workshop, 7936 Mill Street, Springwater.
Smith Lumber and Hardware Center in Lakeville proudly carries Reliance water heaters in electric, gas, and propane. Reliance water heaters are backed by the industry's best warranties, with a variety of choices with one sure to meet your needs. Reliance water heaters, your neighborhood water heater source. Available at Smith Lumber and Hardware Center, Route 20A, Lakeville.
Smith Lumber has Ring of Fire flares.
For over 75 years, Villa of Hope has risen to meet the changing needs of our community. Caring staff at the Villa know trauma and how it can change your life. As we face personal challenges, the Villa stands as a place where individuals, youth, and families can rebuild relationships, recover potential, and renew hope for the future. For more information, visit villaofhope.org or call 1-833-993-HOPE.
Come home to calm, quiet, and beautiful Woodgate Apartments and Townhomes in Spencerport. Just minutes from downtown Rochester. Choose from 1 or 2 bedroom apartments or 2 or 3 bedroom 2-floor townhomes in an historic canal village featuring nearby restaurants and shopping. You'll appreciate the balconies, patios, and beautiful pool. The townhomes include an attached garage. Come take a tour and meet our friendly and knowledgeable on-site staff, Cedar Circle in Spencerport, or visit woodgateplaceapts.com to learn more.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. We work on all makes and models. The technician or the service advisor will always inform you of what needs to be repaired and why, so you know how to budget each expense so that it fits your lifestyle. You spend a lot more money on fixing your car than you will on most things. The best thing to do is to have a good plan on fixing your car. please give us an opportunity to win your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
All Seasons Wine and Spirits East Main Street in Avon has a great selection of the newest and flavored liquors. Celebrate Independence Day weekend with Blue Lord Cider, limited edition Ring of Fire. Open daily 9 to 9, Sundays noon to 9. All Seasons Wine and Spirits.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Got Bob Savage here with me, and we're just talking about the states who, if you travel from to New York State, you're supposed to have a 14-day self-quarantine. So as of right now, it's not like, I think wasn't it New Jersey maybe, that they said, if you come into our state, our National Guard is going to quarantine you and all this, and then they got in trouble for it, and they pulled back. Was that New Jersey? I think it was New Jersey.
I can't remember. We do have a caller on the line. We have Craig from Utica. Thanks for calling Radio Free New York, Craig.
Hey, how are you guys?
We're doing well.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem. I was just calling because you guys are talking about the quarantining. And when I saw that last week, I went and I wanted to figure out, I forget exactly what I was looking for. But anyway, in my looking, I found an article from March where Rhode Island wanted to keep New Yorkers from coming down to their summer homes. And King Andy says, you can't keep New Yorkers out of Rhode Island. That's horrible. You can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. And now you can keep people out of New York. It kind of goes back to the whole do as I say, not as I do thing.
Yeah. Craig, he was also objecting to Florida, who had at one point had imposed a quarantine on incoming New Yorkers.
Yeah, and the best part of this is I was reading something else where New York seeded all of these outbreaks everywhere else. So he got everyone the hell out of New York and then said, oh, by the way, you guys can keep that. That's yours. Yeah. Don't send anyone back here.
Right. It's a one-way ticket, folks. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never come back. Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks, Craig. Anything else, by the way?
I don't think so. I think that was about it. Just more hypocrisy from the king.
No, that never happens. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate the call.
All right, Craig's line is open at 585-346-3000, or if you're in the Mohawk Valley or the Southern Tier or wherever, it is 1-866-552-1009, a free call.
Yeah, and, as I look at the initial quarantine list of states, I'll give that to you guys again. If you're just joining the show, this is the list of states that if you want to come to New York from the state, you're supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days. It's Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Utah, and Texas. And the 4 states, maybe 5, stand out to me specifically. Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and kind of Texas. Those are all states that people run away from New York to go to.
Now, that would be 49 states, Andrew.
Yeah, but very prominently, when you talk to somebody, the only one not on this list, I think, is Tennessee. You hear people, hey, I'm leaving New York, I'm going to North Carolina.
I got to tell you, I don't get that because Tennessee, I lived in Tennessee. Tennessee's a great state. And there's a lot of Western New Yorkers down there. It's not as many as you have in Charlotte, North Carolina, but there's in particularly Eastern Tennessee where the Smokies are, like Knoxville, around there. Everywhere's, I'm from Utica. Yeah, I'm from Albany. Yeah, I'm from Binghamton. You go down there, you expect to hear Southern accents. No, they all sound like upstate New York, I gotta get in the car and go to the hospital because I have backaches.
Well, it's funny because I had a friend, I think they told me about this last year. Maybe it was this year. I don't know. It was BC, before COVID. They were telling me that in Florida, there's so many communities of New Yorkers that they actually have festivals, and they'll have garbage plates down there and stuff special for that festival because there's so many Rochesterians down there.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Buffalo, you've been to a Ted's Charcoal Hots. I think they have them in Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, it's just people just flee this state. So now what Cuomo's saying is, hey, you go to that state, you try to come back, guess what? You got to be locked up for 14 days. And it's not really being locked up, but that's kind of when people hear mandatory 14-day quarantine, even though the fine print is self-quarantine, you do it yourself, there's not going to be a cop at your door type thing, it doesn't matter, because when people hear that, that's what they think.
Right. They think that there's going to be an armed guard at your door for the next 2 weeks. And that's points out another thing, too, that there's this, you want to talk about a pandemic. There's an epidemic in New York State of enacting dopey laws that are impossible to enforce. And I suppose you can make the argument that, well, if it's impossible to enforce, we just ignore them, right? Like all the social distancing rules and everything else. And you're subject to arrest if you don't maintain 6-foot social distancing. Well, who's going to be following everybody in New York around with a tape measure, for one thing? And for another thing, this quarantine thing is similarly, it's just basically use common sense. If you've been exposed to somebody who is COVID positive, lay low for a few days. But it's impossible to enforce. And the problem with that is that it promotes disrespect for the law.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing that I think is really important to point out here, when you talk about these laws that are non-enforceable, such as social distancing, well, King Cuomo and his cronies in Albany, the way they do this is, they're not worried about enforcing it at all, because instead what they're doing is they're holding people's liquor licenses as hostage. They're holding their license to operate business as hostage and saying, you're going to enforce this law on my behalf. And guess what? You're going to pay to enforce it. And if I see pictures on social media of somebody at your bar not social distancing, I'm going to put you out of business and you won't be able to earn a livelihood. Well, I mean, it's just terrible.
Yeah, real due process problems there, because first of all, when was the photo taken?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is evidence that would be admitted in some kind of a trial, prosecution for violation of a law, and then there would be a trier of fact and and an interpreter of the law who would decide whether or not your property is going to be removed through the process of due process. But just like some narc taking a cell phone picture of a bunch of non-socially distant people in your bar and sending it to some, ratting you out to some agency, there's real due process problems there.
Yeah, and I don't know that in New York, if your business license is pulled, do you even get due process? I don't know. And that's the biggest issue I have. Well, not the biggest issue, but one of the biggest issues I have with licensing and regulation that has absolutely nothing to do with safety. A license that is simply a fee to the Crown in Albany that says you are allowed to operate your business in this state. And the moment you do something they don't like, they pull it from you. You lose your money, your livelihood, your everything. Maybe you get a chance to fight it in court. But would you spend $10, $20, $30, $50,000 to recover your license that you'll never make it back anyways?
Yeah, we're going to go to a Jim when we come back from break here. Jim from Rochester's hanging on the line. Again, 585-346-3000. We'll be back on Radio Free New York with Andrew Hollister and yours truly. Thanks for listening.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Fiorella, a family-owned farm-to-table Italian restaurant at the Rochester Public Market, is open for curbside contactless takeout Wednesday through Saturday. Lunch 11:30 to 2 and dinner 4 to 8. Fiorella offers wood-fired, old-world-style pizza with naturally leavened dough and house-made fresh pasta. Check out our Facebook and Instagram at Restaurant Fiorella for nightly specials. Thursday is gnocchi night. Call 434-5705. View the takeout menu on the web, restaurantfiorella.com.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. Sounds like we've got Jim from Rochester on the line. Jim, welcome to Radio Free New York.
Thank you. I just have an observation and like to share a little information with you. I've been listening to your station now for a little over a year, and I really concurred about everything you say. I called the Rochester International Airport Friday, and I asked them a simple question, and I don't know why this is not in process, but there is no on-site COVID testing being done at Rochester International, and I'm not sure if any airport in New York State. So what's the big concern about the COVID-19?
Boy, that's a good question. Yeah. Thanks for that, Jim. You've stumped, if there was a prize for Stump the Host, you would have won double today because neither Andrew nor I have a clue.
No, thank you.
It's a good question. I think it should be addressed. If the Como is so concerned about it, and he wants to have not mandatory now, voluntarily quarantine people coming into this state from the quote-unquote bad states, then why aren't they implementing the testing right there at the airport? Might you look into that? Let me maybe I'll listen and hear an answer tomorrow.
Well, do you know what? We're going to put an APB out right now, Andrew. Right? We're going to ask anybody who knows. Jim, let me just quick ask you before you go away. Did you try calling the airport to ask?
Yeah, I called the airport, and I'm finding it. The woman I talked to, she said she thought it was a good question and wasn't sure either. We've had this COVID since at least March, maybe no longer.
Okay. All righty then. All right, Jim, appreciate that. It's a great point. And anybody out there who has any clue about this, let me know. You know what you could do? You could call our wonderful county executive, Adam Bello, and ask him, how come there's no COVID testing at the airport?
That's a great point, and I want to thank Jim for calling in and for being a longtime listener of the show. And I know that some of the Monroe County legislators listen to the show because they'll occasionally text me and ask me some questions or give me a little bit more information to talk about. So if you're an elected official or even maybe on town council, town board,
airport director,
whoever you might be, that maybe you have a little more access to the information, that's a great question to be asking. I guess I just assumed that was kind of like standard procedure, that if you were coming off of a plane, maybe the testing isn't mandatory, but at least it would be offered to you.
Just have somebody there shooting you with a thermal thermometer.
Yeah, something. I would think that they would be doing something. And it's kind of funny. So I've been through the Rochester airport more times than I can count. And I could just envision myself walking in the airport and like just having a vending machine there where you put in, I don't know, like $1 or something, you get your COVID test. You do it right there. Like, it seems like something that could be so simply implemented.
So what, like this arm comes out of the machine and sticks a
Sticks
Q-tip
up your nose, and they just play like a little video at the kiosk, show you how to do it.
Your head gets sucked into this machine.
It's like those little outdoor dog kennels, at the what do you call them? The rest stations on the thruway. You can put your dog in there. It's air conditioned. You got to go into like this little phone booth thing, get your COVID test, come out. Yeah, I guess I'm really surprised that that's not happening. And if we are so worried about travel, why wouldn't we be at the bare minimum?
There are so many inconsistencies about this COVID thing. I mean, like here's an example, and I understand this is a private company and all that. Tops Friendly Markets, God love them. Okay, at least they're not suing the Daniellis, right? So I tend to like going to Tops as opposed to Wegmans because I think that what they're doing to the Danielli family and the Whole Foods project in Brighton is wrong. It's just wrong. But it's anti-American. But anyway, I digress. So you go into Tops now. Of course, we had this mandate earlier. There's so many orders that come down from the Cuomo administration. It's hard to keep them straight. But we were told earlier this year that plastic bags. Oh, no. Plastic grocery bags, bad, single use, which, of course, they're not. You use them multiple times. Everybody does. But no, we can't have these plastic bags anymore because of the environment. So you go to the grocery store and you get your jug of milk in a plastic jug, and you get the pesto in the plastic tub, and you get the cheese that's wrapped in plastic, and then you get the meats that are wrapped in plastic in a foam tray, and then you get to the cash register. No, can't have a plastic bag. The environment, because of the environment. So now what you had to do is you had to, tote your paper bags that you're reusing into Tops to get your, groceries packed. So, but wait a minute. Now, paper bags that you take in are bad because of COVID, so we've gone back to plastic bags. But I was in Tops this weekend, and now they're telling us, effective July 6th, we're going to stop using the plastic bags, and now you got to bring in the icky COVID-infected paper bags again. So it's flip-flopped twice, 180 degrees each time on the bag edict. It's asinine. And throughout this whole COVID thing, that stuff's all over the place, like Fauci and the masks, right?
Yeah. And I've got a couple things on that. So first off, I have yet to see somebody bring in an actual paper bag again. But I see the paper bags going out.
No, I do it all the time.
You do it. Okay, so one person, that's good.
No, I carry those paper bags. I carry them in the truck. And then I go. Cause I refuse to buy more of these dumb things.
Yeah.
I've got them coming out of my ears, and they're a nickel each. And no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. So the paper bags, if you're listening to the show, you have to use it 54 times at a minimum to break even on the environmental impact of one of those quote-unquote one-time use plastic bags. But really, you have to use it 104 times because most people reuse that plastic bag once as a trash can liner. So that aside, it's kind of interesting because if you look at why they said to ban the plastic bags, right? Because the earth is going to implode in 100 years or something if we don't stop using plastic bags. So basically, with this whole COVID thing, government said, you know what? I guess we'll save 1% of the population, but it's okay for the world to implode because of it. Like, just later. I mean, that's kind of the twisted logic. They told everybody, if you don't get rid of these plastic bags, the world is going to end. Not today, not tomorrow, but in the future. And then they were like, oh, crap. You know what? It's okay if the world ends, because we're worried about this virus that we keep giving you really bad information about. And, just to be sure, we'll just let the world die later. Like, it's just too back and forth.
And then there's the distancing rules, which, you talk to anybody who knows anything about the 6 foot thing. They basically say that's just an arbitrary number, and it really has no validity at all, because it all depends on the force with which somebody coughs or sneezes or spits, because it says that's supposedly droplet control. So now, if we're wearing masks, which are about droplet control, then what's the distancing about? If the distancing is sufficient, then why do we have to have the masks? And on and on. It's just and if masks and distancing work, if they're effective, why can't we just have normal occupancy in places of business?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very inconsistent. I saw a great diagram, because I know a lot of people, they're worried about the masks. And they're like, yeah, the masks can't filter a virus, and they don't understand the droplet thing. So there's a picture of like a guy who like peed his pants, and he's like, see, like, this is how masks work. Like, yeah, I can't, like, this is how I protect you by wearing a mask. And he's like giving this diagram about like peeing your pants, and how if you weren't wearing pants, you could pee on each other. But since you are wearing pants, you're a little more protected, but still smells bad. Just this really funny, comical explanation of it, but to the point of, if we have social distancing and people are wearing masks and this thing and that thing and minimal occupancy, and why do we still have infections? Why didn't in just 14 days it all kind of run out?
Because of COVID. Well, really, I mean, come on. We all know what this is about. This is about trying to unhorse Trump to a large extent. All this is the Democrats and their media lackeys are flogging their pet pandemic here to make it as bad as possible. So check the national news. It's unbelievable. It's just negative numbers. Oh my gosh, it's horrible in Texas. Oh, it's horrible in Arizona. So many people. No, this is just testing.
Yeah, and one thing I totally forgot I wanted to bring up for you guys. There's a few more states that New York might say, if you travel from these states, you have to quarantine. And I would just want to give you guys that, because they have already met the criteria, and Cuomo hasn't made the announcement yet. And he said he was going to do it daily, and then he basically didn't. He's just like, I'm going to do this daily. Psych. Just kidding. Not actually going to do it daily. So California, Georgia, Iowa, Idaho, Louisiana, Mississippi, Nevada, and Tennessee. So if those states get added to the list of states who have to mandatory self-quarantine when they come to New York, that means 48% of the national population would have to self-quarantine. Like 48% of the country, if you add those. So that to me is interesting. I wonder if they decided, oh, we're going to have to readjust our numbers, and that's why they're not saying anything, because in like a week, it'll be nobody can come to New York. And that's going to be a different issue altogether.
Yeah. Can you imagine like a total ban on travel to New York? Because essentially that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Well, let's hope that doesn't come to pass. Andy's already backtracking on whether or not the kids can go back to school this fall. So that's and completely unsupported by the evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Radio Free New York. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow.